Welcome to ParentingU, a podcast to help you navigate this amazing journey we call parenting. Today, we welcome Dr. Kyle Pontiff, sports medicine physician with Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health. I'm Stephanie, and thanks for tuning into ParentingU. Well, welcome back, Dr. Pontiff.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm so glad you're here because today we're going to talk all about summer road trips and how we keep our kids safe on these what we hope are epic family adventures. Sometimes they turn into epic family fights, but let's hope they're adventures.
Yeah.
Why don't you start telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Children's Health?
So my name is Kyle Pontiff. I born and raised in Louisiana. Did quite a few family road trips growing up, coming from Louisiana, getting to Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, all those kind of big trips that Louisiana people kind of tend to make. Did some training outside of Louisiana after medical school, which also created more family road trips, driving down from Memphis and Nashville and Kansas City all the way back to Louisiana. So I feel like I do have a fair amount of experience with these family car trips.
What's your favorite from your childhood?
I guess the one I can remember the least is when I was 4. My parents told me we took a road trip to Disney World, and I guess that was fun. And then I guess my favorite road trip that I remember the most as a kid is we took my uncle's Tahoe, and we all jammed into that and drove to San Antonio. And I guess just age-wise, it was just one of the things I remember the most. And we spent a lot of time together, Riverwalk.
Oh yeah,
that whole thing. It was a good time. Good memories.
That's awesome. Well, we won't talk about how when I was a kid we would fold down the seats in the back.
Oh yeah.
And lay down because that means we weren't wearing seatbelts, and that's bad.
There were, to kind of add to your story, there were quite a few beach trips where we were sitting in beach chairs in the back of the van while my sister and her friend were in the actual seats with seat belts. So, I can relate completely.
That's hilarious. Well, so speaking of potential injuries, let's talk about your specialty a little bit, which really is focused on physical activity. And, summer road trips and long car rides have a lot of maybe inactivity. So why do you feel like it's important for kids to stretch, move around during road trips? How often should families take breaks? What's good for our body during these times?
I think the gambit of ages all require a little bit different, all the way from the newborn to the toddler to the adolescent to the adult to the older person. We all need different things with regards to that, but I think rule of thumb when we're traveling, especially sitting down for a long while, is take breaks. We recommend about every 2 hours is stopping and taking a break. Get out, walk around, stretch around, and while you're in the car, you can also do things just to keep moving. And it'll be more important as we get older, as well as sitting upright, doing those neck circles, putting your arm across your chest and just holding it for 10-15 seconds and just stretch it out there. Trying to extend those elbows and those knees, once an hour, and doing some ankle circles. You're kind of limited in space in what you can do, and you definitely don't want to remove that seatbelt and move around in the car, so you're kind of limited. But just trying to move a little bit of everything every so often is going to be your best bet outside of getting out of the car and truly getting up and standing and moving around.
Yeah. And do you feel like there are any warning signs that kids are getting uncomfortable or sitting too long? I'm thinking more about our babies or our youngers who can't really verbalize their discomfort. What should we look for?
Yeah, I think kind of increasing agitation, like they're fussier, they're asking more questions, do they seem more restless, or the things you kind of gave them to do and occupy them on the car ride not working. I think that's a time to kind of get rid of some of that nervous energy or that active energy, and just get them out, move around. If it's a gas station, a rest area, or whatever, just get around and walk around for 10-15 minutes. Let them use some of that energy.
I like spending the energy.
Yeah.
Let them run around a little bit. Get out.
Get it out.
It's okay. I know sometimes we want to get there.
Yes.
But taking the 10 minutes to stop and stretch. And
I think the parent goals and the child goals of the car ride are often two different things. So at least aligning them together and understanding everybody's needs is a great way to approach it. Plan, know plan where you're stopping, plan how long it's going to take you to get to point A to point B, and kind of figure things out for the kiddos along the way.
Well, what about when we arrive at our destination? What's your advice for keeping kids safe? I'm thinking, VRBOs or Airbnbs, unfamiliar homes, condos, hotel rooms, or even crowded spaces like amusement parks. What are some safety tips?
Yeah, I think knowing where you're going, preparing is going to be your best bet for every single scenario you're going to be faced. So, if you're not exactly sure where you're going to be, what the Airbnb looks like, or what the hotel room looks like, bring the things that you think you're going to need, like bring snacks, bring clothes, especially if you're flying, like pack an extra set of clothes, pack an extra toothbrush and a little carry-on. Just be prepared to not have the things that you know you're going to need, just in case. Know your surroundings. If you're going to a new city, look what's around the area, do some Google reviews, and see what truly the area is like before you kind of jump into there. And then, crowded scenarios, like let's say an amusement park or a festival, those types of things. Oftentimes, like you're going to those things with a group of people, more loved ones than you would have on a normal trip, especially if it's a family vacation. And I would just assume that none of those loved ones are watching your kid as well. Like you should be keeping your eye on them at all times, knowing where they are, and just not assuming that somebody else is watching them.
It reminds me of what we talk about with water safety, where you're the water watcher and like you are in charge and you don't stop being in charge until you verbally say to someone else, you're in charge.
Right.
Kind of the
Formal
same.
handoff.
Yes, kind of the same in crowds.
Yeah.
Like you got that one, I got that, because it's so easy.
Yeah, exactly. A little zone defense, man-to-man defense is your best bet. And then the other thing is, like, if you are traveling and it's just maybe you and your family, or maybe you and your spouse, or just you and the kiddo, is let people know where you're going. Like, don't just kind of go out there without people knowing your plans, your estimated time of arrival, just in case, something happens along the way, so that they know to kind of check in on you and look for you if you don't make it to that destination.
What about safety in other people's homes? I'm thinking about, I think it's important for you to ask, if it's important to you, about are there any guns in the home? Are there any breakables you want to be careful about? Like just being open and honest with what is secure for your family and not being afraid to ask the questions to make it that way.
Yeah, it's a tough one because sometimes you don't know the people that well and what they're going to have, or maybe they have those things, you're just unaware completely and you've still known them for years. It's just, I think, preparing your kids. I like literally had this conversation with my son on the way here, or today on the way to school, about, gun safety. Like if you do come across a gun, what should you do? And it's that preparing them prior to, that's going to be your best bet. Like you're spending a week at your auntie's house and your uncle's a big hunter. Maybe there's a gun laying around. Maybe it's in a safe. Safe's unlocked. Is just knowing that you have prepared your child that if they see the gun, to notice it, don't touch, and tell an adult, like, put this away. Should this be here? Let the kid go to the adult and let them know that this needs to be moved or taken care of, not to do it themselves.
Well, we're in the South, right? And so that means summer equals heat. Even if we're traveling in cooler climates, families probably experience warm temperatures on the drive. What's the best way to prevent heat issues, exhaustion, or even heat stroke during long drives? I mean, I know you can even get sunburned through the windows of cars. So how can we kind of monitor our heat in these summer months?
So I think, just starting at the beginning, that it's summertime. You hear in the news every now and then about, a child left in a car. And I think that step one is just never leaving a kid in the car or the environment alone for any speck of time. Making sure that when you have the opportunity to be in a cool environment, is it shade, is it air conditioners, take advantage. Don't stay out there in the sun all day. Take breaks, plan them. Don't just assume you're going to be able to stay out there all day in the sun with the sun beating down on you and you're going to be okay. Like, plan your breaks, get out of the sun. And then also it even goes into the clothing that you wear. Is wear lighter colored clothes, wear looser fitting clothes as well, so that is just not kind of that perspiration and that wetness is just not staying on you. Also, hydration goes into a big part of protecting yourself from the sun. So water is going to be your best friend. Bring you a water bottle, especially if you know you're going to be out for a while, and avoid things like sugary drinks, juices, anything with caffeine, or even you're spending time on the beach. Avoid alcohol as well, because that will dehydrate you and get you closer to that concern for heat injury a lot quicker and a lot easier. Wear protective clothing, a hat, some sunglasses, and use that sunscreen. There's UVA and UVB that you both have to protect against, so look at your container, make sure it covers a broad spectrum of UV light, and we recommend at least an SPF of 15. 15 to 30 is probably your sweet spot, but you can go all the way to 50, and then you want to apply that about 15-30 minutes before you're out there and get inactive. And then the other big thing is make sure you're reapplying about every 2 hours or so. Just get that back on you. And then just being aware of the warning signs of these injuries, like headache, fever, just no longer having a lot of energy, malaise, nausea, muscle aches and spasms. They're just very thirsty and no longer urinating. It's time to get out that sun and
breaks.
Rest and hydrate and take a break.
We know we're having fun, and I think that's what's hard sometimes on these trips is you're having fun and you don't want to stop the flow or stop the fun, but you could save yourself a lot of heartache later.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of back end headache, by just kind of taking a break every now and then. They'll get back out there. Let them know. You better go back and play. Let's just take a break for now.
Well, I have two girls, and their favorite part of road trips is what we call candy salad. And it's basically we go to the store and get all kinds of chewy candies, throw it all in a bowl, and then make little baggies, and then they eat them on the drive. And I mean, it's not the healthiest, but it's fun.
It sounds fantastic.
It is fantastic. You just have to make sure you don't mix like chocolate in there, because then that gets melty. So it's all very kind of gummy, chewy candy. But what are some other kind of what are your favorite road trip snacks? Kind of keep the energy up, maybe without the sugar crash. What would you recommend?
So I guess personally, whenever we stop someplace, I try to find the thing that I've never seen before and just get that.
Something new.
Yes, something
I love that.
new. That's just for fun. You're road tripping. Let the extra snacking happen. I don't think there's any specific need to kind of curb things, but yes, choosing better things is going to be your best option. So, I think, from what we said at the beginning, like you're kind of in a rush to get to point A from point B, but take the stop, go to a real restaurant. You're getting out there, you're out the car for a little bit, you're stretching those legs, and they're going to have better options instead of just kind of stopping at the gas station for snacks or hitting up the fast food restaurant for something quick so you can stay on the road. Take time, get out, go get better options for meals. And then other things you can do is pick healthier things like a few fruits, dried fruits, fresh fruits, veggies, crackers, cheeses, even nuts. Nuts are good. If you have a age variety of kids, you don't want to choose nuts if they're under the age of 4. But for those older kids, a little trail mix, a healthy type of cereal like Cheerios all mixed together would go well. Put that in a little container, mix it up together, a little bento box type of situation. Just let them snack on it here and there. As far as drinks, again, water is going to be your best bet. If you're adding some calories and sugars from the foods and salts from the foods, you don't need a Gatorade, a Powerade, any electrolyte type of replacement. You should be fine with water.
But I can still have my iced latte.
You got to stay awake.
Right.
You need that caffeine. You're driving. You got to do it. Treat yourself. This is vacation. It should still be fun.
It should. We should look forward to it, right?
Exactly.
Expecting a new baby? Meet your future pediatrician with a free visit before baby is born. A visit with one of our exceptional pediatric primary care providers is the perfect way to get to know your baby's future doctor before the big day. And it's not just for new parent. If you're new to the area or you're looking to switch providers for an older child, you can schedule a free meet and greet too. Our team of elite pediatric experts is here to support your family's health from day one. Find your perfect fit today and schedule your visit at OLOLchildrens.org.
One of the tricks we've kind of started doing, just we have some dietary restrictions in our family, is we'll stop at grocery stores. You wouldn't think about that because you're like, I don't want to go to the grocery store. But if it's close off the interstate, we'll go to the grocery store to get lunch or whatever, because there's so much options, and you can get pretty good stuff there. And if
Yeah.
it's just something I had never really thought of until we started doing it. And it's like, again, a good kind of walk around and good option.
Yeah. I think we're such in a hurry to just get there. But take your time. The trip, honestly, our family, we do road trip a few times a year, and the trip is part of the fun for me.
Yeah.
There's a little misery here and there, but for the most part, it's fun. Make it fun.
Well, what about seat belts and kind of keeping kids secured? I mean, we know how important that is. Kids are in the right car seat, older kids in boosters. Like, anything you want to say about that?
I'm pro seatbelt. I think they should be worn.
I think that's
my general approach.
I think that's a great approach as a physician and a dad, right?
I think, when it comes to it, you're the adult. Lead by example. You should always wear your seatbelt.
Yep.
If your kids are seeing you wearing your seatbelt, it's more likely that they're going to wear theirs. When it comes to car seats, we tend to, and we've even done it, is use car seat A for child 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure, if you are doing that the car seat is not recalled, it's not damaged, you have all the parts, and it's not expired, because there will be an expiration date or how long this thing should be useful kind of on it. That should be all information you should be able to find like within the packaging or on the website, like for the item. So just kind of looking into those things, making sure you're, like, depending on your child's age, height, weight, that it's the appropriate car seat. Each car seat will have its own kind of parameters for how heavy the kid should be and how tall the kid should be. And then knowing, best places for the car seat and for the kid. So safest spot, the back. Safest spot in the back is the middle. Most car seats won't sit in the middle, so you're going to be left from side to side, but still trying the best you can to get it in there. And then for all kids, young adults, young men, adolescents, young ladies as well, under the age of 13, they should still be sitting in the back as well, instead of riding in the front with mom and dad. And then, as you're getting older, it's hard, you're 10, 12 years old and still riding in a booster seat, but you do want to make sure that those older kids, until they're about 4'9", that they're still using a booster, so that strap is fitting them appropriately.
One thing I've noticed in my 11-year-old is she wants to prop her feet up. She's sitting in the chair, but then props her feet up on the back of the front seat. That's terrible. And I tell her about that too, but talk about that a little bit, like about feet placement and things too.
So I think, for those younger kids that are rear facing, their feet are on those seats. And I think that is sometimes a concern for families as well. But in that scenario, their feet being on the seat is fine, because that force will be forwards. Kids are pretty flexible. Those legs should be fine. But when they're front facing and kind of more of a rigid, stationary kind of position, the risk of injury to those limbs will be higher. Having their feet in the correct position, them sitting upright, the belt appropriately going across their lap and across their shoulder, that's going to be their best bet for safety while in the car, in case there would be an accident.
Well, we know screen time can be a big overload on long trips like this. And even when you arrive at your destination, sometimes it can lead to cranky, overtired kids. What are your thoughts about screen time on these trips? Is it a tool in the toolbox? Is it go wild? Like, what are your thoughts here?
I think, it's fine within moderation. I think it's a means to an end a little bit. It's keeping everybody happy. Usually when you get to the destination, those iPads, phones, whatever, are going to go away. But you don't want to try alternative methods as well. Just trying to have some more family time while you do these things you can share, memories you can make together, as opposed to everybody just headphones and staring at a tablet. But get them involved in the trip. Get them a map. Let them draw on the map. Let them kind of course the path, with you. Let them kind of be a part of that. Reading, a lot of kids during summertime have summertime reading. That's a good time to knock that out. Listening to a book or podcast that y'all can all enjoy together, that y'all can talk about and get involved with. Some sort of story where everybody's just kind of, you stopped at the gas station, everybody's eager to get back into it. Singing, We it helps pass the time. We do that quite a lot.
Yes.
A lot of times it's, something, from a Disney movie, or maybe not what you want to be singing, but it's fun to do all together. Everybody take a verse, get it done, record it, play it back later, laugh about it. We do a lot of activity books for our younger kids, dry erase markers with, shapes, numbers, drawing, those types of things to try to keep them active. And then you can do the kind of things we did as a kid, like the alphabet game, trying to find something that starts with A, the license plate game, trying to see if you can find all the license plates, car bingo, those types of things are sometimes fun for kids to do and participate in. And then I found I kind of looked at what the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends for this type of thing and type of scenario. And one of the things that they recommended was the quiet game, which I thought was pretty funny. It's just everybody be quiet, and that will help you pass the time in the car.
That's something. The quiet game.
The quiet game. Yep.
Well, some families maybe, not mine.
It's a tough one.
Ours is no. We would lose very quickly.
Yeah.
The quiet game. I agree. I think what you're saying is right on, because we're not gonna. It's your choice if you want to have a screen-free ride, but also I don't think having screens on all the time is the greatest and having screens off the time may not be the greatest either. You can have a little balance in there.
Yeah. Take breaks. Do the other things.
The other things. I love the idea of the maps. That'd be kind of cool. I think my girls would like that, kind of having the map in front of them and looking for okay, we're taking Highway 80 or we're exiting here, and like them following along, I think would keep them a little bit more engaged. And it may help with the how far away are we? How long till we get there?
Yeah.
How much longer?
That was a little part of childhood. My grandfather would do road trips with us when we were younger. It was just me and me and my other cousins, and everybody took a turn being the navigator. We'd get the map. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had the map, and he would ask me what exit I should take, that type of stuff. And again, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was involved in the trip and felt like I was part of it.
Yeah. And that's what makes the time go fast.
Yep.
Is when you have other distractions.
Yep.
Well, did you ever get lost?
I remember being a child and getting lost in Houston. It's pre-Google Maps and all those types of things, and kind of some front seat frustration of I've seen this building before, we've made this turn before, this isn't where our hotel is. But I guess personally, not really, because we live in the age of access to maps, and even prior to Google Maps on everybody's phone, I had MapQuest and plan everything out with all your printed papers. So luckily I haven't had to venture into that just yet.
Maybe sometimes getting lost is part of the fun too.
Yeah.
Looking back, it's fun. It's not fun in the moment.
Yes, exactly.
Is there anything else any other tips or advice you'd like to offer?
I would say I was in the Boy Scouts. Just be prepared for anything that's going to be popping up, that could potentially pop up along the way. Have your side of the road safety items, and being prepared for anything that may happen along the way. Make sure you have a spare, make sure you have the jack to change your tire along the sides, make sure people know where you are, make sure, even let's say you have games and foods in the car, make sure that's in a reasonable spot in the car, so you're not undoing your seatbelt and reaching over and moving around, so that everybody can remain safe while we're trying to have fun in the car. It's just be prepared for anything that may or will happen along the way.
I love that. Well, let me ask about you mentioned preparedness. That brings to mind maybe a first aid kit or something medicine kit you would bring with you. What are some just quick medicines you would suggest people have? Is it Tylenol, Motrin, Dramamine? What are some things you would want in a car road trip medical kit?
I would say things you need. If anybody has a medication, if anybody has an asthma inhaler, for emergencies, make sure you have that. Anything that they will need, make sure those things are packed and readily available. I think having some bandages, a couple of sizes of Band-Aids just in case there's little nicks and boo-boos along the way. Depending on the age of child, I don't think having some Tylenol or ibuprofen liquid or pill form is a bad idea. Even kind of a little small thermometer along the way as well isn't a bad idea to have, just in case, a kiddo gets sick, or even in the case of things like heat stroke, you're worried about how high the person's temperature is, and if you need to be worried, having those things I think would be helpful.
Well, this is our summer safety season, so we're asking everyone, what's your favorite thing about summer?
Vacation.
Yeah.
I do like kind of getting out there, different places, new places, and experiencing that with the family, things that they've never seen, things I've never seen, and just new experiences, getting to have the kids at home a little bit more than they usually are during the day. That's kind of what I enjoy over the summer.
Well, thank you again for your time, Dr. Pontiff. I'm looking forward to a road trip myself this summer, and I hope that you have one as well. We'll have everything mentioned linked in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with more ParentingU as we continue to navigate this amazing journey we call parenting together. See you soon.